Hello, hello, welcome, please come in. It's time we resume our monk-only runs this week in Final Fantasy III, which means choosing some random names for my characters, probably because my cat was in my lap so I couldn't reach the keyboard, so you will just have to settle for these names. But before I can actually access the monk job, I need to clear out the first dungeon, which is very easy because it is the first dungeon. I do pick up some Antarctic winds that I could use to kill the boss very quickly, but I will need to hang on to these for later. With the Adamantoise dead, I reached the first crystal and unlocked the first batch of jobs. And thankfully, unlike my last two FF3 videos, the class I will be using is available right out the gate. So, a quick couple job swaps and everyone is a monk. And much like FF1, monk in this game is very simple. However, like other FF3 runs, I will be swapping to the upgrade monk, the black belt, once that becomes available much later in the game. One big difference from FF1 is that I will still need to buy armor for them. They don't get the incredibly good natural defenses they had in FF1. I also need to use weapons, at least initially. Unarmed attack scales off the monk's job level, which will quickly overtake weapons, but at least for now, weapons are important. First destination is the town of Kazis to chat with Ghost Sid, then to the desert to pick up the airship, and it's over to Castle Sassoon. This castle has a lot of, frankly, worthless equipment for me to grab, mostly because I will want to sell it. Ooh, a Tonfa. Better weapon. Neat. But Castle Sassoon properly looted, and it's over to the next dungeon. Monks may be a very basic class in this game, lacking any command ability at all, but they are pretty durable and they do hit very hard, which will get tested in the first boss fight against the Djinn. There are Antarctic winds I've picked up in this dungeon that can wreck this boss, but again, I need to keep these for later. The good news is that while the Djinn hits pretty hard, my monks hit considerably harder. And that is another boss down. Huzzah! Time to move on. Back to Kazis to recruit Sid to the party, then to the blacksmith to affix a ram to the front of the airship. Fun fact, since I forgot to grab the canoe from King Sassoon, the blacksmith will still attach the ram to the airship even if it's currently inaccessible past a river, which I think is funny. Anyway, the airship breaks because this was a bad idea actually, and it's into the town of Canaan. There is a free elixir here that I can use to cure Sid's wife. This opens up his item stockpile full of far less valuable items than an elixir. There's no great way to say this, but is it more advantageous to let her die? Moral quandary safely ignored, it's over to Bahamut Mountain to run from Bahamut and fall several kilometers away. This does mark the first instance where I have no choice but to make one character a white mage to Mini. There will be a couple instances of this for Mini or Toad, but don't worry, for the one required fight while in this status, I will switch my character back to monk before that. Anyway, a pirate cove with treasure to steal, all of which is garbage, and it's next dungeon time, the Nepto Shrine. And this is an immediate problem, because you must mini your characters and stay minied for the entire dungeon. While minied, your physical attacks will deal 1 damage. This is regardless of your level and other factors. However, I have been stockpiling spell items throughout the early portions of the game. These deal decent damage, but I do not have nearly enough of them. Now, this is not, in fact, a wall for the run, because importantly, you do get access to the boat before completing the Nepto Shrine. You can't actually sail out into the open ocean, or the Nepto Dragon will absolutely wreck you, but you can sail in this very small area. And many of the enemies here actually drop spell items, which can be used to kill the ordinary rat holding this run hostage. Unfortunately, this is also FF3, so the drop rates on those items are bad. Like, really bad. Like, sub 10% per enemy bad. Made even worse by the fact that monks have terrible spellcasting stats, so the items I do have are much weaker than normal. So, hold please while I do so much fighting in this tiny area to try desperately to get the items I need. Okay, we are back. That took a while. So glad this game has a speed up function in combat. Wish the speed up function was stronger, because good lord. But we're back with a decent stock of spellcasting items and almost certainly over-leveled for the next few areas. I will count that as my reward for tolerating this nonsense. And yeah, at this point the fight is very easy. The Antarctic winds are dealing pretty good damage thanks to my level, I have a stupid amount of HP, and I still actually almost ran out of spellcasting items. Oof. Okay, so normally the wall in FF3 hits right at the end of the run in the final series of boss fights. Apparently for melee classes it's going to be this stupid rat. And also probably the endgame bosses. Anyway, Nepto Dragon has chilled out and I can sail a decent chunk of the sea. Over in the Village of the Ancients, I can get better armor for the whole party, which is very nice. Normally I'd have to grind gil to afford all this, but I don't, for some reason. Oh, yes, I also have enough levels and job levels that unarmed attacks are no stronger than weapons. It will remain that way. Now it's time for the Golden Gulch to grab the Toad spell. Thanks to the overleveling I had to do to beat a single rat, I am more than a high enough level to head to the next dungeon, the Tower of Owen, which requires me to be a toad, very briefly, then scale the tower, picking up, honestly, mostly garbage. Okay, it's completely garbage. And it's next boss time, and this fight is against Medusa. And wow, yep, I am indeed a bit overleveled, because Medusa dies in 4 hits. Alright then. Anyway, beating that fight frees up the outer sea ring. I can sail over here, buy all the magic keys I could ever possibly need, and it's time for some dwarves. I am still almost certainly overleveled, so let's just dive into the next boss. Did that do 32 damage? I have 500 HP. Alright then, I swear, difficulty will return to this game at some point, mostly because I'm just skipping all random encounters. But yeah, at least for now, I guess it's time for the Molten Cave? Oh, some high potions. Those may actually be useful at some point. Alright, next boss is Salamander. Oh, okay, found the difficulty, because Blaze is taking out about half my entire party's HP with every use. And 2 in a row takes out half my team. Fortunately, Salamander then attacks with his last turn, and my damage is enough to win the fight. Okay, that was a lot closer than I'd expected. I am then kidnapped and taken to Castle Hein. This area has a decent number of spell items, but I'm not actually sure that they will be that useful. Hein himself has a magic barrier, so he will typically absorb most elements. Yeah, I'm just not gonna bother. Even with Hein's high physical defense, monks deal pretty good damage. And while Hein's spells deal pretty good damage to single targets, it is only single target, and I have a handful of high potions that are enough to keep my party up and running while I punch Hein to death. That means the people of Argus have been rescued, so I can head over to Castle Argus to grab the Wheel of Time, and then head back over to give the Wheel of Time to Sid so he can give me an airship. And that means it's time to finally leave the floating continent for the world below. Nothing to do here but head for this wrecked ship, cure Arya with an antidote, and then fly back over to the Cave of Tides. This area, weirdly, has no treasure chests, and I'm not super sure why, but alright. It's time for another boss fight. Huh, despite barely leveling after beating Salamander, Kraken is dealing considerably less damage. I wonder why Kraken is such a pushover in this game. I can't recall a single time I've struggled with this fight. Anyway, that unlocks the water crystal jobs, which do not matter, and the world is unflooded. Ooh, neat, new equipment. I sure do wish the game would stop trying to auto-equip weapons despite them always dealing less damage. You know what, I'm just gonna sell these. Into the garbage with you. Alright, so that means it's time for sewers to rescue some old men from level 1 goblins, get some level-grass shoes from this old woman. Ooh, a power bracer? Okay, yes please. Anyway, level-grass shoes from this woman, and that means I can head south to the Gold Manor to head inside and face down Guldor. This boss has stupidly high magic resistance, which does not matter to me because I only have the power of Fist. And it turns out that power is incredibly effective. Guldor, can you stop casting Confuse? It will not save you from me. Thank you. Goodbye. Good lord. Anyway, that has freed my airship, so I can now explore more towns. First up is Duster, which has nothing. Then it's over to Repleto, which has a few elixirs. Given my no healing and Black Belt's high HP, those elixirs should earn their weight in gold. Next up is to get shot down over Saronia, then beat up some random knights to rescue the prince here, and it's time to head into the castle for the Garuda fight. I am absolutely certain this fight is not going to work out in my favor. Garuda is a pretty tough fight when you can't... Black Belt? I'm an idiot. Black Belt is a water crystal job in this version of the game. Ugh, I'm so stupid. Oh well, at least I realized my mistake now, and not once I got to the Earth Crystal, or worse, once comments came in asking me why I'm so stupid. Too many versions of this game, I get confused. Anyway, yeah, Garuda destroyed me, so it's time for some leveling. Black Belts work basically the same way monks do. The difference is they have better scaling on their unarmed damage, better stats, specifically for health, and of course, they get 2 action abilities. Focus powers up the next attack to deal double damage. If used twice in a row, it increases the damage to triple damage. But considering spending 3 turns to deal 3 times as much damage is not different than just using a basic attack, I'm unclear why you would ever use this. Anyway, they also get Kick, which deals a weaker attack to all enemies. Useful for random mobs, but completely useless for bosses. Anyway, let's hop back into the Garuda fight, and after some leveling, and yeah, nope, that was simply not good at all. My damage is pretty decent, and my health is growing rapidly. I think I really just need to get to a level where I can survive 1 more lightning across the board. That's easily Garuda's most dangerous attack. The good news is that at least this is giving me time to build up some job levels. Every job level increases my damage a decent chunk because of how this game calculates damage, especially for black belts. And we're back! It's Garuda time, and yep, that leveling stint was exactly what I needed. My attacks are hitting a good bit harder, and the party can survive 2 lightnings, though they end up not needing to because Garuda stupidly uses a physical attack, and I can take him out in 2 rounds. Nice! Beating up Garuda gets me the Nautilus, super fast airship in tow, and I can head over to Doga's Manor, get accosted by guard Moogles, and then team up with Doga. Oh, I have plenty of money at this point. I should probably fully stock up on all the healing items. Will I need all these? Probably not, but no harm in just getting them anyway. Heading through this mini cave means Doga can enchant my airship with submarine powers, which unlocks a couple dungeons. First on the list is the Sunken Cave. There are a decent number of items here, most of which are worthless, but there is a Bacchus Cider for haste and another power bracer. Small improvements. Also, pro tip, do not use kick on the eaters here. That's not how divide works in this game. They divide when hit, not on death. Fortunately, black belts are actually strong enough with basic attacks to kill them fast enough that the splitting doesn't actually matter. The Temple of Time also has some items, but these are basically all useless, so skip ahead to picking up, protect rings. That's actually great. Now my entire party has arm equipment, so that's a nice improvement. Anyway, I can pick up this loot, and it's over to Une's cave to wake her up because I need her help, which means flying over to the ancient ruins for Une to clear a path forward. And all the equipment here is redundant or worthless except the fairy claws, which will actually boost one of my black belt's damage numbers. At least for now, I expect that will fall off fairly quickly. The real reason we're here is to unlock the invincible airship extraordinaire, which has a full shop of mostly garbage, but there is an item shop and a bed. And it can fly over mountains, so I can navigate this incredibly annoying maze to reach the next dungeon. Doesn't this look fun? At the end of this next dungeon is the next boss, the Hecatoncheir, and I'm expecting this fight to not go great, and I am partially right. Earthquake deals huge chunks of damage to my entire party, and had the Hecatoncheir used it more liberally, I would definitely have died. But thanks to a combination of the boss spending some turns doing basic attacks and the sheer damage I am outputting, the boss actually goes down on the first attempt. Wow, despite having no healing, black belts have mostly been flying through these bosses. Interesting. Okay, next story destination is back to Doga's Manor, but I want to do some side content. First up is the Saronia Catacombs, mostly because there are elixirs here. My potions are already basically worthless, but elixirs will always fully heal me, making them invaluable. After that, I head over to Lake Dor, which has a few useful items mixed in with all the garbage, and then over to Bahamut's Lair to pick up another elixir and a Bacchus Cider amongst all the trash. Okay, that should be enough side nonsense for now. The fight with Doga and Une can be a bit of a difficulty spike, so let's see how that goes. First up is Doga. My damage is pretty good, ranging from 500 to 1200, or more. Doga doesn't really have any multi-target spells, so I can actually use high potions to heal wounded party members. Usually. Oh, that was it? Doga's down? Okay, then I guess it's time to take on Une. She tries casting Protect at the start of the fight, but I'll be honest, I'm not really seeing any difference in the damage she's taking. Unlike Doga, Une does have multi-target Snowstorm, so I have to be careful about keeping as many party members alive as possible, and over about 500 HP, which actually goes really badly, but I still end the fight with one black belt at 50 HP. You know, I really did not think I was going to win that fight at this stage. It only took 42 high potions. Well, that was mostly easy. I guess it's time to clear the way to the final dungeon sections of the game. So far, Monk and Black Belt have exceeded my expectations. I feel like this is a class I don't ever use in FF3, and it's doing quite well. Getting Scholar flashbacks, actually. Anyway, into the maze, and it's time for Titan. He opens strong with a combination of Earthquake and Flare, and yeah, that's the party dead. I am still pretty underleveled for this point in the game, especially with my job levels for some reason. Cough. So let's get some grinding in. Like in FF1, monks scale better than most classes as they level, just because their weapon damage is entirely based on their respective job level. Back into the fight, and wow, my damage is looking scary. It also helps that Titan decides it's very funny to not use any of his most dangerous attacks. Jerk. Anyway, now that that's done, I can... Oh, I should unequip these claws. They are not needed at this point, because my job level is high enough that unarmed attacks are more useful. Ooh, a Protect Ring. Oh, new claws. Yeah, I guess these are just better now. Into the Crystal Tower and to the mirror to stop spamming buttons, you idiot. Use the right key item. Thank you. Ooh, a ribbon. That's much better headgear for me. And yeah, no, none of the boss weapons here are useful at all, and the sages actually don't sell anything I can even use. Alright, and that means it's time for a big grind because the final sequence of boss fights in this game are awful. Just the worst. They suck. And while I'd love to just power through to the end, I'm gonna need a lot more HP to make that even slightly feasible. Some grinding done, I guess I should complete the Crystal Tower to at least steal all the goodies around here. I mean, most of these aren't actually useful, but some of them are elixirs to fill out my elixir stocks. Okay, you know what? I think I should see how the endgame section is looking. I'm sure I'm not strong enough, but I may as well test and see how far behind I am. Oh, yeah, no, that meteor nearly one-shot the entire party. And that was a second meteor. Okay, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a long grind, isn't it? The good news is at least I have a lot of high potions, and my monks are dealing enough damage to tear through random encounters pretty quickly. So at least the grinding experience is relatively quick. Okay, all the way up to level 48-ish across the board, let's give this Xande fight another attempt. So good news is my damage is really good, actually, meaning I can deal anywhere between 2,500 and 5,000 damage per hit. Bad news is Meteor is still wrecking me. If I got lucky, I could probably force my way through this, but the bosses after Xande are even more difficult, and I can't heal until I beat one of them. So I should just grind out here to get some more levels and job levels. Based on how my damage is scaling, I don't actually think I need that many more. Back in at level 53-ish, and yeah, that damage is looking even better, and my HP totals are chunky at this point, which is good, because Xande still hits pretty hard. Hello, Xande is down, and most of my party was still up. I did get kind of lucky with no meteor spam, but I think that was good enough to warrant seeing how black belts do against the final bosses. Oh, I should also fight the Xande clones as I go. I usually haven't because while ribbons are great, it actually costs more resources than it's worth. But my only resources here are high potions, which are useless in combat, and once I kill a crystal boss, I have infinite out-of-battle healing. Alright, first boss is the two-headed dragon. This boss is rough because it one-shot anyone in the party, usually. But it doesn't have any multi-target attacks, which means I can just throw out Phoenix Downs to revive party members while everyone else punches the dragon for, frankly, a lot of damage. And yeah, that was fast. In FF3's endgame? I'm not even sure I believe it. Another Xande beaten to a pulp, another ribbon, and it's time for the next boss, against Cerberus. And this fight is really just spam attack. Despite not being super high leveled, I've had enough time to get my black belt job levels up to really up my damage. And hitting for 3,000 to 7,000 damage per hit means things are going quickly. Another Xande clone down means the entire party has ribbons. Echidna is up next. This fight is a bit rough, with Echidna having Drain and some very strong spells, but doesn't save her though. Seriously, black belts do not mess around. This is the best damage I've ever done in this game, excluding shurikens. But punches don't cost money. Only one crystal boss left, and it's Ahriman. And Meteor to start is scary, Quake follow-up is bad, and Ahriman even has Hiraja to heal itself. Doesn't stop me though, black belts are just too beefy. That's 4 crystal bosses down at a reasonable level in a reasonable amount of time. Into the Cloud of Darkness fight, and I start by using a Bacchus Cider on each character. I've been saving these random items for exactly this moment to maximize my damage. Cloud of Darkness still deals big damage with Particle Beam, but I have enough HP to survive 2 hits in a row, which means I can also break out the comical number of elixirs I have. It's not an infinite number, but it is a lot. And through the power of 2 different varieties of drinkables, Cloud of Darkness goes down, faster and less painfully than any run of this game has ever been. And that was FF3, beaten with only monks and black belts. And that was pretty interesting. Monks and black belts are not classes I've typically used in this game, but wow, that unarmed damage was no joke at any point. Who knew just punching things with your fists could be that good? But I will have more to say about that in the summary video, out in a few weeks. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos. So if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone and will remain that way. For now, if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.